You know, one thing I have always enjoyed doing is people watching. Give me a cup of coffee, a comfortable chair, and a place where people are coming and going. And I am happy. I can sit there for quite a while just watching the world move around me. I have done this for as long as I can remember. When I was younger, I never really thought much about why I enjoyed it so much. I just knew I found people interesting. Even as a child, I was always asking questions. I always wanted to know why. I wanted to know why people did what they did and why they thought the way they thought. Also, why life seemed to affect different people in different ways. Not much has changed. I still find myself watching people and wondering. I might see someone walking quickly through a shopping mall and wonder if they're rushing to something important or if they're just simply late. I might see someone sitting quietly by themselves in a coffee shop and wonder if they're enjoying a peaceful moment, or are they thinking about something that's been weighing on their minds? I see an older couple sitting together, and I find myself wondering about their story. How long have they been together? What have they survived together? What challenges have they faced? And what memories do they share that nobody else knows about? Of course, I know I don't really know the answers. Most of what I'm wondering about is simply my imagination, filling in the blanks. The older I get, the more I realize how easy it is to make assumptions about people. When I was younger, I probably thought I understood people better than I actually did. Now I realize that most of what matters in a person's life is invisible. I have seen people smiling while carrying heartbreak. I have seen people laughing while struggling with something very difficult. I have seen people sitting alone who were perfectly content. I sometimes like to sit alone, or most of the time, that is. And I have seen people surrounded by others who look incredibly lonely. Life has taught me that appearances can tell us something, but they rarely tell us everything. Sometimes I think that's one of the reasons I enjoy people, or one of the reasons I enjoy people watching so much. It reminds me that every person I pass has a story. Every single one. The young mother trying to keep track of her children. The teenager laughing with friends. The man sitting quietly on a park bench, maybe even feeding the pigeons. the woman standing in line at the grocery store, the older gentleman walking slowly through the mall. Each one of them has lived a life that I know almost nothing about. They have experienced joy and disappointment. They have loved people and lost people. They have celebrated victories and survived hardships. They have dreams, regrets, worries, hopes, memories, and experiences that helped shape who they are. Most of that remains hidden from view. All I see is a moment. Just one moment. And that moment is only a single page from a very long book. I think about that a lot. There have been times in my own life when people looked at me and had no idea what I was carrying. And thank God for that. There were times when I smiled because it was easier than explaining what was going on deep inside. There were times when people probably assumed I was doing fine when I wasn't. And there were other times when someone may have thought I looked sad or worried when I was actually feeling peaceful and content. That's one of the things life has taught me. We can observe people. We can notice things. We can pick up on little cues, but we never really know the whole story. And honestly, I think that's made me more compassionate as I've gotten older. When I was younger, I was probably quicker to form opinions. Now I find myself giving people a little more grace. Maybe the person who seems impatient is having a difficult day. Maybe the person who appears distant is carrying a burden I know nothing about. Maybe the person sitting alone isn't lonely at all. Maybe they're simply enjoying their own company. The older I get, the more fascinated I become by the lies unfolding all around me. Sometimes I sit in a coffee shop and watch. People come and go, and I realize that every single person has a story that is every bit as important and meaningful to them as mine is to me. When I stop and think about that, it's actually quite humbling. The world is full of stories. Stories of love, stories of loss, stories of resilience, and stories of starting over. Stories of dreams that came true and dreams that didn't. And most of those stories we will never hear. We simply pass each other by. Maybe that's why I enjoy people watching so much. It's not because I'm trying to figure people out. It's not even because I'm being nosy. It's because it reminds me that life is bigger than my own little corner of it. It reminds me that every person I see is carrying a lifetime of experiences that helped make them who they are. And somehow, I find that fascinating. So the next time I'm sitting with a coffee, watching people walk by, I'll probably do what I've always done. I'll watch, I'll wonder, and I'll remind myself that every face I pass has a story I'll probably never know. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the lesson isn't to know the story. Maybe the lesson is simply to remember that it's there. I'd love to know what you think. Do you enjoy people watching too? And if you do, what has it taught you about people and about life? Until next time, I'm Carol Ann, and this is Still Standing with Carol.